everybody, it's Emily from My Pages in Ink, and if you can't tell by my Coca-Cola shirt, I will be doing my series discussion on the Raven Cycle series by Maggie Stiefvater, composed of these 4 books: The Raven King, Blue Lily Blue, Dream Thieves, and The Raven Boys. Not in that order, it's actually backwards, it goes this way. But if you don't know anything at all about this series is about 5 friends, who come from pretty different places for the most part. Some of them kind of come from similar backgrounds, but have different, goings on. The leader of the group is Richard Campbell Gainsey III, who is the son, I believe his father is an architect, or his grandfather was an architect. I forgot what his mother does, but she's currently, within the series as it progresses, she is actually getting involved in politics. So he's a rich guy, and he goes to Agliombi, where all of the boys in the story go to, and it is a prestigious boarding school for the rich and powerful, but it's not like a school where they can just kind of slack off. If they get below a B, they're failing a class, which is even more strict than like college, because in my community college, you pass if you get a C. Although I need B's for my major. But anyway, so that's pretty difficult. Then there's Ronan Lynch, who is he's the son of a farmer, but he learns that his father is also kind of like an artifact dealer. And there's more to it than that, but I don't want to discuss it too in depth. And apparently, before the story starts, Ronan's actually this pretty cool, happy, character. But once the story starts, you find out that his father had actually been murdered, and Ronan was the one that discovered the body, which is kind of pretty terrifying, and he kind of starts to become this, well, he's an asshole. But he's a lovable asshole, because as the story went on, I learned to love Ronan. Then there's Adam Parrish, who goes to Agliombi, but he's not rich and powerful. He's actually there on scholarship. Kind of. It pays for part of his schooling, I believe. And, yeah, it's a partial scholarship. So he has to work in order to go to school, in order to save money, in order for him to leave, because he lives in kind of a trailer park, in a double wide trailer, and is constantly, especially in the first book, Adam drove me crazy, because in the beginning of this story, in the beginning of the series, Adam was really, not stingy, but he was really proud. He didn't want anybody to help him do anything. Every time Gainsey tried to help him out with money, it caused a huge fight. The last boy of the group, there's 5 people, remember that, there's still a 5th person. The last boy in the group is Noah Cezerny, I think that's how it's pronounced. It's C-Z-E-R-N-Y. Yes. And he's pretty quiet. They all kind of describe him as being smudgy, and doesn't say much, but he takes to the 5th person pretty quickly, and he's kind of a sweetheart, and I wish he was in the books more than just the first one, and I will explain why after explaining the series. The 5th person, and probably my favorite person of the group besides Noah, is Blue Sargent, who is the daughter of a psychic but has no psychic abilities of her own. Instead, her gifts are to amplify psychic energy, or really energy in general, which kind of help her mother and her mother's best friends and her aunts and everybody who lives in her house on 300 Fox Way to do their predictions. They're pretty much all psychics except for Blue. And Blue is kind of an eccentric person. She kind of makes her own clothes, and as well as kind of creates her own style using like different thrift clothes, because I think in one she had made a dress out of like 4 different fabrics, which was pretty interesting. And she puts like paper flowers on her wall. It's pretty cool. I like her style. But she's kind of the kind of person who at first she hated Agliombi boys, first of all. They're also called Raven boys. Because they were, all the boys that she had dealt with before this group were snooty and arrogant and just, bitch boys. But when she gets to know a couple of them, she actually realizes that they're not that bad. And she's also the kind of person who doesn't take crap from anybody. She's kind of her own person, and, doesn't even really let her mother kind of tell her what to do. She's still kind of, she's not a rebel, but she's her own person. She's pretty independent. Okay, on to the Raven Boys. I have notes from my first reading over on the right here, your left, I think, unless this switches back around and this becomes your right. I don't know. Anyway. Okay, so some of the notes that I have, and even just from reading, the very first line of the book was a hook for me, and that was, Blue Sergeant had forgotten how many times she had been told that she would kill her first true love. Or her true love, not first. Her true love. Which is kind of nuts when you think about it, because how do you kiss somebody and they die? You know, it's kind of like reverse Sleeping Beauty, where instead of waking her up, it kills her. Except in this case, it's not her. But anyway. That line kind of makes the series seem both magic and contemporary, but it's largely paranormal and magic, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool. I think this is the first book that I read where I finished it and went, where's the rest of it? There's got to be more to it than this. And, you know, obviously there was, because there were more books, but it was just kind of like, this is it, this is all that is in this book, like, where's the rest of it? And then I did have a bunch of notes on characters. The thing I liked about at least this book, I don't think it's the same, but I mean, there are moments in these books that are pretty lighthearted and actually really funny, and I don't mean like, ah ha ha ha, like you're just laughing till you cry. That was more like cry laughing, which is true, kind of happens. But, you know, it's not a laugh till you cry book. It's not that kind of funny. It's just, you know, there are silly little snippets here and there, especially with Ronan's sarcasm, which I can greatly appreciate because I am pretty sarcastic too, which is why I get along with my chemistry teacher, but that's not the point. That's really all the notes I have for the Raven Boys. I guess I can tell you the plot summary for the Raven Boys if you have not read them. So the Raven Boys follows the group that I told you about as they're searching for this presumably sleeping but probably dead king of Wales that got taken over to America and is said to be sleeping on a ley line, which is a magical line that is somewhere in Henrietta, Virginia. But his name is Glendower, or it's Owain. It's very Welsh, but English translated as Owen Glendower. And Gainesy's trying to find him because when he was a kid, he was killed by bee stings, which he's allergic to bees. I believe. That's what I get from this. And he's told that he will live on the ley line because Glendower wants it because somebody is unwillingly dying on the ley line as well somewhere else. So let me see how much of this I can like actually tell you. Oh, okay, that's about it. Because there's a little more to it that's pretty spoilery, so I won't get into it. But it's Blue making friends with the group, and the group kind of welcoming Blue in, as well as some background and just a tad bit of character development. Now on to Dream Thieves, which was my favorite book in the series, even though I didn't end up rereading it. Because it's about dreams, and I am a very big dream person. I really want to lucid dream, and no matter how hard I try to get it to work, it never works. Half the time I can remember that I'm sleeping, but I still can't seem to control anything. I just kind of still follow the story along. It's really annoying. But anyway, so this book kind of has more of a focus on Ronan as well as the rest of the group. And Ronan is called a Grey Warren. Oh, I missed something. This is why I kept thinking. The group in this book finds a magical forest called Caveswater, where the trees speak Latin. And Ronan is called the Grey Warren, and toward the end of the book, Adam becomes something special to the forest, and I won't really explain it any further than that. Okay, back to Dream Thieves. So Ronan is a Grey Warren, which I don't remember specifically what it's supposed to mean, but he has a kind of special relationship with Caveswater. Primarily because when he dreams, he can pull things out of it, and he uses energy from Caveswater in a way. It's the energy of the ley line, but anyway, that's what Caveswater is. And this book, like I said, it kind of has more of a focus on Ronan, and actually a whole lot of the series kind of In a way it does, but it also focuses on the others in the group. So, in this book, Ronan and this kid from school, Kavinsky, kind of go back and forth, and it kind of, you realize that Ronan's not the only person who was able to pull things from his dreams. His father was able to, and so is Kavinsky, I think is how it's called. So the whole thing is about dreams and that rivalry, and I think that's also where the Gray Man comes in. This is why I said that I haven't read these. Okay. Hold on, I'm looking over at my notes. More Noah and Blue. Blue's character. Dreaming. Okay. The whole concept of being able to pull things from your dreams excites me greatly. Especially because if I could pull something from my dreams, one of my best friends would be alive. But I'm not going to talk about that any further than that because it's just Then there is the last note on my thing. I don't really have very many notes. Oh, there is Gray Man. I was right. Okay. So what I wrote down was, I also love how we get to watch the Gray Man really become a person with an actual name. Because throughout the book, okay, Gray Man is a hitman. He was hired by this guy named Greenmantle, Colin Greenmantle, to kind of investigate the ley line and find this thing called the Grey Warren, which I already told you who that is. But they think it's a thing and not a person. And so the Gray Man is kind of slowly getting closer to who the Grey Warren is, but he's also getting closer to Blue's mother, and decides that he's on the wrong side and kind of quits being a hitman so he can stay with Mara, who is Raven's mother. Blue's mother, and you kind of get to watch him be a person instead of just a character or just kind of a jerk who's hunting down children. I think I ship it because they're really cute together. Mara had been alone for about 17 years, I think is how old Blue is in the book. 16, 17-ish. Pretty much, I think after that, the night that Mora and Blue's father were together was like the last time. I think he disappeared after that. So, yeah. Anyway, the last note I have is, at this point, I don't want them to find Glendower. And at the point that I wrote that, I really didn't. But as the story kind of went on, I was like, I need to get to the part where there's this supposed curse, and one of the characters, namely Gainsey, by the way, that's not really a spoiler, you kind of find that out pretty quick, is supposed to die, and I want to know if he actually dies, because Maggie Stiefvater constantly said that he was going to die, and I'm like, I need to see how this happens, because there's no way the group is going to be okay with this. They have to do something to either bring him back or keep him from dying. But anyway, so I said I would rather watch them solve puzzles. They should be mystery solvers. Gainsey should get a van and they can turn it into a mystery machine with like the Raven Boys and girl on the side. And it could be called the Raven Boys. Blue needs to be there, so I don't know what they'd be called. I would watch a TV show about their adventures. I'm so trapped in the web of the story. I think if I ever emerge, I'll have webs in my hair and spiders on my shoulders. Better yet, a raven. See what I did there? See what I did there? Okay, so that's Dream Thieves. Moving on to Blue Lily Lily Blue, which of the three that I had read before The Raven King came out was my least favorite. It just seemed to drag. It wasn't as fun. It wasn't as interesting beyond the cave that they find. And the fact that Colin Greenmantle and his wife Piper come into play. And he's a terrible person. But I kind of expected him to be pretty cutthroat, but in the end he's kind of more of a spoiled teenager who breaks stuff when he doesn't get what he wants, which is pretty stupid in a villain, but you gotta have some of them at some point in time. I feel like his wife Piper was pretty much the brains of the operation because she kind of knew, everything of what was going on and how to do things, and I actually found out in The Raven King why that is. But, you know, she was introduced kind of as like this blonde person of few skills, but she kind of was only really interested in money. Anyway, Gainsey's friend from England, Mallory, comes to visit, and they go kind of spelunking, I think, at one point. But I'm not sure if he's there. One thing that I did like is you can see the character development in this story. So, like I said at the beginning, Adam is very proud. He doesn't let anybody help him, especially with money things. But in Blue Lily Lily Blue, he kind of leans on them a little bit more. You know, his pride isn't strong in it. I also like that it kind of hints to Ronan being into Adam, but it doesn't happen the other way around, and nothing really happens until the Raven King. But yeah. I also, in this book there's a door. And I said that stupid door because, oh, okay, I know what I missed. So there's this, because I wrote down the stupid door, not really a spoiler, I must have missed something, but I'm sure what they're looking for is behind that door, and I don't understand why opening it was something they were trying to avoid. They were warned not to open a door because something bad was sleeping behind it, and you find out what that was in this book. Hit my table. So I know what that is now. The whole scene with Gwen. So Gwen Lien is Glendower's daughter. And they find her down in one of the tunnels, caves that they're spelunking into, trying to find Glendower. And she's crazy. She's gone nuts with the centuries that she's been locked underground. When they find a tapestry where there's like 3 girls that look like blue, and I don't really ever think it was explained why that was so important. It's referenced in the Raven King, but it's still not really explained. And they also find Blue's father. His name is Artemis. But I won't tell you really any more than that, like what he was doing, where they found him, who's gone missing. Yeah. And at this point, I kind of felt like it was a filler. Because it did have development, but it just kind of got to a point where it just seemed like she was putting off writing the Raven King for another book, because it just it wasn't as interesting as the others. And now we're on to the Raven King. Ta-da! I love this cover. I love it. It's so pretty. But you know, the inside covers. So I think it's in Blue Lily Lily Blue. It's either in that one or in Dream Thieves. But there's a character named Henry Chang. And I read somewhere that somebody was like, I knew he was going to come into play and be important. And as I'm reading, I'm like, he really didn't need to. It almost like Maggie was like, here, let's add another character to the mix. And just kind of dropped him in. Because even though there were a couple key things that he helped with, like his Robo-Bee that he got from his mom, and taking Gainsey to follow the Ravens, which I will not explain why, because I'm trying to keep this as spoiler-free as humanly possible, while also discussing the series. I say a lot, I'm very sorry. So, as I was reading, I still didn't quite understand why Henry was so important, because other characters could have done it. He fills them in on the artifact trade, which they have the Gray Man. The Gray Man could have explained all that to them as well. So it was just kind of like, why is he here? I don't understand. Especially because he's only really strongly in this book that I put down over here. And he befriends Blue, and all his friends at the place where he lives befriends Blue and Gainsey, and he kind of becomes part of the group. But it just, I don't know, it just seemed really weird. He wasn't meshing. That was weird. I think it was a pretty good finish. You know, there were still things that aren't really all that explained, but that's okay. They weren't really things that needed to be explained. The tapestry thing is going to bother me, though. And I found out what is behind that door. And I will tell you, because it's not really a spoiler, because in Blue Lily Lily Blue they tell you it's a bad thing, and it was definitely a bad thing. And it was a demon, but in the shape of a wasp, which is interesting symbolism. It's kind of feels like Maggie Stiefvater saying bees are bad. I mean, bees and wasps are different, but they're the same family? It's either family, I know it's definitely the same kingdom. King Philip comes over for great spaghetti. I think it's the same family. It's either the same family or it's the same order. I don't remember. But anyway, I digress. I don't have very many notes on the Raven King besides the Henry Chang thing, and I realized that I probably made a mistake by not rereading the books because there were things that I totally forgot or things that I probably needed a refresher on. But it still didn't really deter my view of the story so much. The final note that I really have for it, actually there's 2 notes, just kidding. There's this little girl that for most of the book is called Orphan Girl, and if you know anything at all about the Raven Boys, especially the Raven King, her name gets changed to Opal, and I think she's adorable, and she's pretty much like Adam and Ronan's like daughter, even though Ronan he doesn't treat her like crap, but he's not the nicest to her. While Adam, she takes to pretty quickly, and he's super nice to her. He even gives her his watch. Which I don't really understand, but I think it might have to do something with maybe giving her comfort that she's like, she gets to watch the time for them to come back or something. But it was super cute, and I'm totally on board with the whole Pinch thing now, because at first it was just kind of like, I don't know. It wasn't so much that I liked Blue and Adam together, because they're together in the Raven Boys. Because as cute as it was, it's just, you know, it's obvious that Blue and Gainsey were going to be a thing. But Ronan, I felt like Ronan was almost, not aromantic, but like, I don't know, it was hard to explain. But as I kind of watched it develop a little more, I kind of started to really see that Ronan was, he's, underneath his hard shell, he's a pretty sweet guy. So I think he deserves to be happy, and if Adam makes him happy, then okay. They're actually pretty cute together. The only problem I have with Pinch is I feel like Adam doesn't really notice Ronan the way that Ronan notices Adam, if that makes any sense. Like, Ronan will watch Adam, and it like has descriptions on like Adam's hands and Adam's eyes and the sunlight in his hair and like all these cute descriptions, and then Adam is like, Ronan was staring, or Ronan grunted, and I'm just like, okay, Adam, don't break his heart, because he's gonna really be a jerk then. And the last note I have is the way, and I'm not gonna tell you how, but the way that they brought Gainsey back was not what I was expecting at all, because I was kind of expecting, actually, I won't even tell you what I was expecting, because it would kind of tell you what it isn't, and that's a kind of, you know, process of elimination. You can figure out what it was, so I won't tell you any more than that. But there were things that I felt weren't really addressed at the end of the book. Like, there's this whole thing going on with being unmade, and at one point they were worried that Matthew was being unmade, but it never said if he was or not. When they bring, when they're able to get Gainsey back, it was supposed to like make him different, I think. I don't know. I'll answer questions. Yeah, so I have a note down here that says that Maggie Stiefvater is working on has said, I think, that she's working on a series based on Ronan, so maybe we'll get answers to that. But I don't know if they're going to take place before the Raven Cycle series or after. But that is part of the discussion. That is the discussion on individual books. Okay, series as a whole. Probably on my top 10, maybe not on my top 5. And it's not so much that I have a problem with Maggie Stiefvater's writing, because she's an excellent writer, and I honestly, even as a person, I think she's a gift to this world, and she's a cinnamon roll that needs to be protected, because she's just awesome. And the first book I read of hers was Shiver, and I loved Shiver. I still have Shiver. I have not finished the Wolves of Mercy Falls, though, and I do have the next 2 books in the series, so I can finish it. But there are just some things that, you know, I am confused by, or things that just didn't work for me. And I do think that my favorite book was probably The Raven Boys, because every time I've read it, I can't stop, really. So, yeah. As a whole, I think I'd give it a 4-star rating as a whole. I don't think that's the average, because I think it was 5, 5, 4, and 4. So, let's see. 10, 8, 18 divided by 4 is like something point something. I think it's 3 point, no, hold on. It's 4 point something. Anyway, so it's an average of 4 stars, so that works. But this is all I have for this video. Sorry it was super long-winded, it was just me talking. I really need to start getting more, I guess, energetic. I try to be really energized, but I think sometimes I just kind of calm down and get in the moment and I'm like, blah blah blah, instead of like, blah blah blah, like most people are, and I apologize. But I do hope that you enjoyed the video. I want to know what you guys think of the Raven Cycle series, if you've read it, if you haven't read it. I am sorry if I did spoil anything for you. I tried to keep it as spoiler-free as possible while talking about the individual books. I think I did pretty good. I think the only thing I might have ruined is saying that Gainsey came back. Sorry. I have one more video that I'm doing for you guys today, and that is the Sims book tag that I wasn't tagged for, but I'm doing anyway. So I will see you guys in a little bit. I really hope you enjoyed, and thank you so much for watching. It always means so much to me when you guys watch my videos. I was gonna say read my books. Watch my videos, and like or subscribe to me if you want to. Like I said, I make these for you guys as well as I enjoy making them. I don't particularly care if you follow me or subscribe to me or not, because it's your preference. You know, if you don't enjoy watching me talk, then go watch something else. You know, I'm not gonna make you stay here and make you feel guilty for not enjoying it, because preference. Everybody has their own thing. You know, some people like to watch people eat Asian noodles, so, you know, to each his own. But I will see you guys in a bit. Thank you so much for watching. I love you guys, and I wish you happy reading.